Wait, you're telling me you have all beachfront property?
Yeah, man. And 5-star hotels and more. Just drink this here, and I'll take you there in moments.
Wait a minute.
Hey, Wanojin! I kidnap another fool to sacrifice to Bomb Swandi!
Bombaclat, again! How many times I gotta tell you to stop sacrificing me customers?
Hello everyone, Willith here. Today I'll be judging this island paradise and how it's freaking amazing. Oh gosh, just make room, Dorotar. So, obviously, the Echo Isles are pretty much an island paradise. Great beaches, beautiful tropical jungles, and of course, epic ocean fun times. As for resources, because they are just surrounded by deep water, the sea would provide huge schools of fish for fishing. These isles would also provide an abundance of fruits like bananas, mangoes, pineapples, coconuts, and berries. I mean, not these exact fruits per se, but you know, whatever the Warcraft fruits equivalents are. Now, I also want to talk about all these stupidly massive bones in their architecture. Like, what the frick are they killing? Where are they getting all these things? Because clearly there's an abundance of these massive freaking bones. If they are harvesting these bones from hunting massive animals, is it really worth it? Wouldn't it be easier to just use wood? Though I suppose if they're hunting like giant sea monsters for meat, they might be using the bones as like a byproduct. Like they're just like, hey, we got all these bones, let's use them for their architecture. I mean, I guess. Like I'm just so confused. I feel like it has to be some kind of religious thing, because I can't see any advantages to using bones in your architecture. I mean, unless you just want to send a very strong message to your enemies. In any event, here are 3 possible ways I feel they're gathering these things. 1, they're killing giant whales or monsters in the sea and then bringing their bodies back to the Isles for butchering. 2nd, they're using the power of the Loa to like mold and fuse bones together like you would a ball of clay. Like, I don't know, maybe.
Oh, please, Bomb Swandi, grant your blessing on this here corpse already. I really want to make me bony bookshelf.
Luca, where is axe made of skulls of my ancestors? They thirst to drink the blood of my enemies.
I'll be working as fast as I can, man. Wait, that's what all those skulls be?
In Soviet Ugras, our ancestors are our weapons.
Yeah, man. Sure thing. Yo, Bomb Swandi, hurry up, man, with that blessing. I got a fucking Soviet orc on me ass.
3rd and final theory, it's all just wood, painted to look like bones for whatever reason. That's it. That's all I got. Like, these are like the only reasonable things that I could come up with as to why they're putting bones into their architecture. Now, why did I just go into the most random detail about how they're getting these bones? Because I've just been thinking about this all day long, and I had to explore because holy moly, it's been driving me insane. So, naturally, I need to bring you all with me. Also, a fun fact, almost all of a coconut palm tree is entirely and completely edible. Like, almost all of it. Like, it's kind of just insane. However, by no means does that mean it's gonna taste any good at all. Like, it's not gonna taste good. But it is a good survival tactic and makes it just that much more difficult to siege out the trolls on their islands, because there really is no way to cut them off of their food source. Even if you stop them from fishing, which would, make up the majority of their diet, they can just eat fruits and can resort to palm trees if needed. Man, those poor souls eating the palm trees. Oh, frick. Finally, these islands possess an absolutely incredible and invaluable resource to the Horde. Their incredible strategic position. If any enemy like the Alliance wants to invade Dorotar, they are going to have to take these islands. So the trolls are the first line of defense for Dorotar and by extension, Orgrimmar. These isles are integral for Dorotar's safety, but before we get into that, let's score the zone. Now, overall, the geography is very strategic and has a lot of benefits for food, and on top of that, it's just freaking a bunch of tropical islands with white sandy beaches and really no negatives at all to their geography, like volcanoes or something. So, it is an honor to give the trolls the first 5 out of 5 Volgens in geography. Oh man, he'd be so proud. Oh man, just put an F in the comments below for freaking Volgen. Just, oh, my boy. Oh no. Oh dear goodness, safety. This is gonna be a doozy. So, just like in the first video I did, I'm going to be taking magic out of the equation. Magic in WoW is simply just too unpredictable, along with the other reasons I discussed in the other video. Right! First things first. The Echo Isles are, as you know, an extremely strategic position. Whoever controls these islands essentially controls the safety of Durotar or lack thereof, and by extension, Orgrimmar. The Echo Isles make an amazing launching off point to invade or to defend Durotar, and with it being an island, it is extremely difficult to invade in return. Because really, no matter where you attempt to strike at the island, the trolls will see you coming and prepare accordingly, meaning surprising them is kinda nigh impossible. Now, invaders could strike at night, but as members of the Horde, I'm sure the trolls would have scouts patrolling around the islands at all times and, flying on the backs of some sort of flying creatures, so stealth is just, again, not an option. An invading force is going to have to go big or go home in order to take these islands. Now, here comes the fun part about the main island that the trolls live on. This bloody freaking wall is absolutely epic. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, when I first started going over this wall with steel, I thought the trolls were foolish for not making the wall made out of stone, and I just assumed that an invading force could just burn it. But upon further discussion with steel, we came to the conclusion that really it just doesn't matter. There's just absolutely no point in burning this thing. One, it would be difficult to even start a fire because it's constantly getting wet from the ocean. And second, the wall is pretty dang thick, look at that thing. At most, it may cause a bit of a landslide even once a bit of the wall is burned. But that also just wouldn't be helpful in any meaningful way to take the island. It would just be a bit of a dick move in causing some damage, but nothing that would really hurt the defenders. The sand and dirt that would fall would not be compact enough to stand on and would just be horrible to invade upon. It would really just be quicksand. Also, it would take 5 hours or more just to burn any part of that wall, and in the meantime, the defenders could easily put out that fire or just set up the forces accordingly. Now, what makes this wall extremely useful is that it forces the invaders to land on certain parts of the island or upon other islands that are connected by these bridges, thus ensuring that the invaders always land on a choke point, making it easier for the trolls to pick off the invaders and just put them through a meat grinder. Oh my gosh, it would just be absolutely horrific to invade this thing, holy frick. Furthermore, a ship couldn't really attempt to anchor near the wall and try to allow people to scale it, as the wall has these massive freaking spikes sticking out of it. It would just be far too risky, as you'd likely damage the hull of your ship and risk sinking. Now, the eagle-eyed among you might have noticed that the trolls only have, just huts, no forts or castles. Now, technically, that is a downside in terms of defense and development. However, they really don't need them, because the island itself is their fort. It is their castle, if you will. And besides, if the invaders encroached enough onto the island that the trolls had to rely upon a fort, at that point, the battle would basically be lost for them. So, the trolls have to maintain this wall. They have to maintain control of the island at all costs. They can't allow anyone to pass. Breaching the defenses of the island is essentially breaching the walls of a castle. So, back to the invaders. If they can't burn the wall or stealth attack the islands, and if they reasonably, logically don't want to go through a horrific meat grinder, what can they do to take this land? What can they do to take the main island? Well, there is one thing they could kinda do. They could attempt to take the second largest island and take cover behind the mountainside, as it would give them cover from the main island. Furthermore, this island doesn't have a wall, making it that much easier to invade wherever the invaders want to, as they're not forced onto any choke points. That doesn't mean the island's going to be very easy to take at all, because again, there are trolls living on this island. I do know that currently right now, as you can see, it's controlled by Naga, so to speak, but obviously the trolls have wiped him out by now, and the trolls fully control this island. Anyway, but it would not be easy for them to take this island because, the trolls are still living on this island. They can see the invaders coming. So it's still going to be difficult, as the trolls can, plan accordingly to defend the island. Now, once the island is taken, they could build siege equipment behind the mountain, as the trolls wouldn't be able to stop them, as it's blocking them from doing anything. And invading the bridge would just give the enemies the advantage, as it's now just a choke point for the trolls, and now they have to face the meat grinder. However, obviously by that point, they know they're there. So as the invaders are trying to build siege equipment, so would the trolls. Once the invaders try to, deploy catapults or whatever it is they try to make, the trolls would just respond in kind. It's like, no one wins. And the invaders still have to contend with the bridge as well if they want to take the rest of the isles. So it's a better strategy, but it's still just a horror show, man. However, all the trolls really need to do is just last long enough for the Horde's navy to arrive to help support them. And I think the Horde's navy is in Ashara, because for the life of me, I can't think of anywhere else it would be. Because there ain't no freaking way it's gonna be in this dinky dock. No freaking way. Like, I'm sorry, Ogremar. Your docks, they suck. It's not even a docks, it's just a dock. There's no harbor here. I'm sidetracked. Now, once the Horde's navy arrives, the invaders could become just outnumbered and outmatched before they could be able to take the isles, resulting in just massive losses and their chances of taking these isles just flat out cooked. So just all in all, the best option for the invaders is to just massively outnumber the trolls and just push through the meat grinder of their choke points.
Da! Motherland approves of these tactics.
And see, the trolls don't really have that big of a population, considering that they left their island before and lore-wise, things like that. We know they don't have that big of a population. So they also just live on these islands, so just a number of factors. But they probably have about as much as medieval Hawaii, maybe. So you're looking at like maybe 10,000 trolls, give or take. And about 2,000 of those would be children, and another 2,000 of those would be elderly. But a spear could still be put into their hands if absolutely necessary. And the elderly, I mean. And as the trolls also allow women to fight, that allows them to use almost the maximum number of their population, giving the island a freaking garrison of 8,000 soldiers. Like, gosh dang, man. Now, meaning whatever force tries to take these islands is going to need to double or even triple their number in order to take these islands. And they're going to also have to do that in time before the Horde Navy arrives, and then fight that Navy on top of that, and just on top of defending the islands at the same time. And then once all that's done, then they can invade Duratar and Orgrimmar. Like, just... oh, man. So, you may be reasonably asking yourself, why try to invade such a formidable fortress of a frickin' island? Why not skip it and try just invading elsewhere in Duratar? Why not just go straight for Orgrimmar? Or just why take such a high risk that's guaranteed to result in massive losses no matter what you do? Well, my friends, because quite simply there really is no other way. If you don't take these islands, then the Horde and the Trolls can use them against you and easily send your invasion just packing. You're just doomed if you don't take these islands. To win this battle, one would have to take a high risk for a high reward. Because if you manage to take these islands, then hot dang, their strategic position and massive defenses become your own. And now you can then use that to the detriment of the Horde, dealing them just a massive blow. Because now the Horde has to deal with the meat grinder. Now the Horde has to go through all the crap you just went through. Also, I am aware that the Alliance has been trying to take these canyons at the southern tip of Duratar and, predictably lost them completely. My guys, what the frick did you expect? The Horde wiped them out as the Alliance just sent this ragtag scouting party mission, which is just stupid. If they wanted to take the region or gain a foothold, they're going to have to just send a massive naval force because, like I stated before, if you try to take any kind of foothold here, the Trolls and the Orcs they're just going to keep sending ships after you, and it's just, you can't do it. You can't do it. Just, Alliance, what are you doing, man? Oh, and I almost forgot. Bloody freaking airships. Now, the Horde has way more airships than the Alliance. Or, well, zeppelins, but I'm just gonna call them airships. And I'm certain the Horde knows this after working with the Alliance for so many years. And I think the Alliance only has like 1 or maybe 2 airships. They don't have very many. Now, an airship would help a great deal in assaulting the islands, at least kinda. The airship wouldn't be dropping troops onto the island. They would just get picked off by the trolls or get stuck in the jungle trees. So likely the airship would just drop rocks, bags of flechettes, these pointed metal bits onto the enemies, and maybe some bombs, but I don't think they would really drop those. As well, yes, the bombs would deal a lot of damage to the trolls. They also need to use the island for themselves upon taking it, so I don't think they would want to damage it too much if possible. Furthermore, it might prove difficult not to hit their own troops with the bombs, making it a bit impractical to use them. Really, the best use for the airship is to just use it like an aircraft carrier. It would just be used to support the Griffin Riders for the most part. And now, see, the Horde's not stupid. Like, they know the Alliance is going to send an airship, maybe 2, to take these islands. They would absolutely station at least an airship of their own on or near the Echo Isles to support it during an attack, as these isles are just vital for Durotar's security, and it makes sense the Horde would do this. Right, now that all that's out of the way, let's take a look at wildlife. I bet you forgot about that part. This section is just getting too long. So the only animals of any real size on the Isles are boars, crabs, and wild cats. I will say I prefer the tigers back in Classic, but you know, whatever floats your boat. None of these animals are particularly dangerous. The boars, I think, aren't entirely wild. They are probably brought over from the mainland and are just free-roaming livestock. And the cats I don't think would pose any real danger. I think they would much rather avoid people than anything else. So the only other animal that lives on the Isles are raptors, but these are like all domesticated. So all in all, the wildlife on this island is pretty tame and safe as long as you keep your distance or handle yourself with care. Though, a quick side note about these raptors. I actually think these guys are imported from Durotar, just like the boars. I don't think they're native to these islands, but holy moly, if they were native and were adapted for life on these islands, like just imagine what they could have looked like. Have any of you guys seen images of an Ostraptor? Imagine these guys living on these isles, but with like Warcraft flavor to them. Like making them big enough to ride on and giving them brightly colored feathers and patterns and stuff like that. Imagine these things wading through the coasts, catching fish, or let's amplify that Warcraft energy and give them a bit of a paddle-shaped tail, and now let's say they, I don't know, dive into the sea to hunt, like freaking sharks or something. Personally, I feel that these kinds of raptors would fit the troll culture and aesthetic just so much better, and they would also be adapted to the Isles to boot.
In Soviet Orksu, raptors ride you. You filthy-minded troll. Do not take out of context. What I'm trying to say is that our raptors or orksa mount you instead of you mounting them. Stop taking out of context.
I was just wanted to ask him to join on me boat.
Anyway, that's enough of my speculative ramblings for now. All in all, I give the Isles 5 safety raptors out of 5. For development, they're not all that developed, to be honest, like, not at all. They just have huts. However, they do have a wall that serves a variety of purposes. They would also have a very good fishing industry, and I believe they would have developed their farms, so as to take advantage of Orgrimmar's lack of food production. Freaking, if you would just use your dang river, freaking, the water you need for farms is like right bloody there, you freaking. Now, they wouldn't be able to make any traditional farms because of the jungle soil. Their farms would be coconuts, berries, mangoes, bananas, and fruits like that. And I feel that they would have developed these not only to feed themselves, but to sell and trade with Orgrimmar, as they would have a high demand for food, and the trolls would be able to sell their exotic food to help fill the need for food. Their fruits would also sell very well, as they would only be able to sell them in very limited supply. Also, in researching this video, I found out you can make coconut alcohol. And you bet your thrall beaded necklace that the trolls are making that stuff. So, in other words, similar to the goblins, they're raking in that dough. Though the bulk of their trade would consist of salted fish, the trolls would also have far more experience fishing than the orcs, or really most other of the horde races, to be honest. So they would be able to just sell just a hefty amount of fish, and just, man, they're just making a lot of money. So if the trolls are making such a great amount of money, what are they using all that money for, you may ask? I'm glad you asked, random viewer. Well, they're obviously not using it to increase their bloody development. They're still in freaking huts. So I'd say they're using all that money to pay their workers, maintain the wall, and most importantly, to buy weapons. Because, as we all know, you can never have too many weapons. As they don't have any ore on the Isles, at least that I'm aware of, they would have to buy the bulk of their weapons from Orgrimmar. Also, guys, I feel that they would absolutely buy cannons from the goblins. Like, just imagine them shooting cannons at the ships from their walls. Like, holy frickin' moly. Finally, the wall also helps to keep the ground more stable from erosion by the sea. One of the problems with the islands is that building anywhere near the beaches just makes it unstable. I mean, for obvious reasons. You got water, you got sand, and no bueno. So this wall helps to give them more stability and creates more infrastructure. Like, no, seriously, this wall is freaking fantastic, just ingenious. Now, despite this glorious wall and their fishing industry and just fruit farms and coconut beer, they are still incredibly tribal and just underdeveloped as a people when compared to, say, the Alliance. Or really to any other race. Like, you really can't get more underdeveloped than the trolls, to be honest. Seriously, they just have huts and stone spears. So I give this section 2 walls out of 5. Honestly, if it wasn't for the wall and farms, they would most certainly be at 1. To be honest, your job opportunity is very low, especially because of the lack of development. Your only options are working on the fruit farms, breeding raptors, fishing, or being a soldier. And actually, come to think of it, that last part is mandatory. However, your pay would actually be pretty decent because of how much the trolls make from trading with Orgrimmar. So, even though you may hate your job choices and long labor hours, at least you're, getting paid well for it. So I give this section 2 gold coins out of 5. The Darkspear Trolls are actually a very chill race. They have a go-with-the-flow kind of attitude and are actually quite welcoming. And they don't seem to be very judgmental of other races. As far as I can tell, as long as you treat them with respect and share a drink or two with them, you'll get along very well with them. None of them seem to really care one way or the other about another race's features or anything. And I don't think they would really try to push Loa worship onto anyone either, as it's very clearly a troll-only religion. They'd honestly probably just share fun stories with you, try to take you out to go fishing with them on the high seas, and just drink with you by the fireside. Now, they do have beef with the Naga, and if I recall, they have some beef with the Night Elves and humans. But with the Horde being at peace, I think that might just be put to rest mostly. Also, they've been allies and friends with the Blood Elves for like ages now, and the Nightborn. Not as long, but still, they're there. So I don't think it'll take much for them to drop some of their beef with the Alliance. And we've seen freaking Vol'jin become best friends with a human. So if the former leader of the trolls can so easily put aside his biases and become best friends with a human, I feel like most of the other trolls would just probably do that as well, to a point. So basically, don't be a jerk to the trolls, and more than likely, they'll treat you very, very well. And many of them are the kind of person you'd like to hang out with or take to a party. So, all in all, they're just very cool people. So I give them a 5 out of 5. Honestly, their weather would just be amazing. Just hot sunny days and just cool breezes. The only negatives would probably be bad storms or hurricanes, if they even get those. And the Isles would get the brunt of those over, southern Durotar. Now, here's again where the trolls are just ingenious. Their wall protects their major island from the worst of flooding during storms. Like, just absolutely freaking stellar, man. And, oh my gosh. So, I give them a 5 out of 5. Honestly, I guarantee you there are going to be just a ton of Horde members who are just going to go vacationing here. I really love the ingenuity of the trolls, and I find their culture and architecture and just personalities to be very fun and unique. The Echo Isles would just be a blast to explore, and I bet the food here would also just be amazing to try. Also, just by the freaking Titans, like, just, I hope the trolls somehow can make pina coladas. That would just be peak. That would just be perfect. Now, I had a lot more to say on the Echo Isles than I honestly thought I would. Like, guys, I went into this thinking there would not be much to say. But, lo and behold, the freaking script for this got so much longer than Durotar. And I added Orgrimmar, a capital city, to that thing. Like, gosh dang it, I need to stop going down on tangents. Anyway, on a scale of 0 to 5 on how much I'd personally like to live here, I give it a 3. I'd definitely love a vacation home here, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure most people would do the same, if not live here. But me personally, I wouldn't want to live here year-round, mostly because I prefer having all 4 seasons and I enjoy living in colder climates. So this gives the Echo Isles a score of 22 out of 35, placing them in solid B tier.
Yo, man, what is that score? I think it should be an S tier, man. Why you gotta give it such a low score?
Well, because of your development, jobs, and honestly just my personal opinion.
Your biases feckin' suck, man.
Freaking Luca, this is my tier list. You feel different? You go make your own tier list. You know, just get out of here. Anyway, I also changed up the score of Durotar because I kind of messed up the scoring in the last video. They're still at 19 points, but it now places them in C tier instead of D tier. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below, and until next time, guys, see ya!
Yo, man. Would you sacrifice me? Oh, please, Bum Swandy. Just ignore it and go for it.
You just gotta play that like 4 or 5 times during a game. Just at random intervals.
Oh my god, new repo clip. It would have been fine if I had like coughed or cleared my throat, but no, I choked on nothing. Sorry, just moistening my mouth. Unfortunately, all I've done is dried it out more, so...
This guy, he's over there licking and choking on something. I don't... Something weird going on over there. John, you should give us a goofy voice. What's the goofiest voice you got? I think Dallin needs to be a clown.
I'm going full on rest of the clown. What?
Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa!
Whoa! Butterfree! Whoa!
I'm okay, Dad.
Vocal warm-ups with this crew. Quickly, please.
You only have one meal for the rest of your life.
Jesus Christ.
Chicken biryani. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Lunch and dinner. No, you had to have this. No, not that one. Okay, then what would you do? Well, many meals out during the. No, you can only have one. The rest of one for rest of life. Yes, chicken biryani.